I normally talk about cartoons and movies from the previous decade, but I feel it's time to discuss something that's been much more exclusive to the 2000s, and that's the popularization of the internet. I know it's been around since the 90s, but back then it was mainly used for pornography and black market goods. Alright, I know that's still the main use to many, but as the 2000s decade was progressing, all these new websites were coming along, many of which were for social networking. That wasn't something most kids were going into. So what kids of this time really had was this wonderful little browser-based MMORPG called Neopets. It's where I went on the internet when I was young. Probably riding off the super success that was Pokemon, Neopets was a site where we could have virtual pets, and there was this large world we could do quite a bit in. In the earliest stages back in 1999, Adam Powell and Donna Williams founded the site to entertain university students and make some money off banner advertisements. Many pets were crudely drawn, and one of them, called a Bruce, was just a picture of Bruce Forsyth. Hope I'm saying that right. It even had a murder mystery. It was just a quirky early internet site made for college students. Then, with an explosion of popularity, some Americans noticed the site, made an agreement, and founded Neopets Inc., and you could soon see a refocus to create a child-friendly MMORPG. I signed up to play in 2003. I managed to access my old account for this retrospective. Actually, I accessed it a little bit before because I had a serious RPG craving and wanted to play Neoquest too. My username was Scorpion81995. Scorpions because they were cool, 8 being my age when I signed up, and 1995 being my birth year. Let's start with our first section, the pets. I wasn't around when some of the sillier designs were out, like Macy Gray, who you could create multiple copies of and keep as a pet. She later got changed to a cow, spelled K-A-U. That's harsh, by the way. There were almost all the iconic pets created by the time I joined. Pets like the cute dragon, Shoiru. Bruce became a penguin with a bow. Eries, which were like griffins. Kachiks, which look like Pikachus. Chias, which I don't get at all, but they were all over the site. The wolf-like loops. The what in the hell is that supposed to be? Akaras. And many others. Through some unknown means, you can pick from a large number of pets and choose your favorite, and it will be created for you with whatever name you want that hasn't been taken. Given the popularity of the site, expect to use a name with some numbers behind it. You try to get a Neopet with higher stats in a stat randomizer, but eventually you have to settle for one. And then you have a Neopet. So what does this pet do besides sit there and look pretty or badass if you got a Grarl? Pro tip though, don't get a Skeeth or Grarl. It may seem tempting to have a pet that looks like it could take on Chuck Norris, but if you forgot to feed your pets, like I tend to do, these guys can take your stuff from your inventory and eat it, food or not. It's annoying. Most of what you do early on is play games, which would reward you with the online currency, Neopoints. With Neopoints, you can buy items. Items can range from toys you play with your pets, books to increase your pet's intelligence, food to feed your pets, and weapons to equip your pets for battle. I find Neopets is actually one of the best lessons in economics one can learn. The prices for everything are all about supply and demand. See, everyone can open a shop. How many items you can stock there can be upgraded. You can sell anything that's under 100,000 Neopoints there. Then there's a feature we desperately need in real life called the Shop Wizard, which searches various marketplaces for the lowest priced item you're looking for. So when you get an item you need to sell, you look for comparable prices on the Shop Wizard, but you generally sell lower than the prices of the stores where you'd actually buy the items, unless it's a rare item. Finding the rare items in the NPC shops and selling them is a good way to make a lot of money. When you make money, you put it in a bank, because there's lots of random events in Neopets, most of which involve a force that robs you of money or items, and you have no way to retaliate. Plus, the bank has interest that you collect manually and it adds up a lot. Neopets has a lot of free daily to-dos, teaching children the valuable lesson of being a freeloader because you won't be able to move out of your parents' house. First is a game called Tombola, where you usually win worthless sand. Yeah, thanks Tiki Tac Man. Or the Fruit Machine, where you usually win worthless fruit. Yeah, thanks Fruit Machine. That was the first lesson of supply and demand we got. The items that everyone was winning from Tombola or the Fruit Machine were worthless. Here, let me show you how little the prize I won is worth. Wait. What? Oh my god! There were so many types of items. Pets could get sick, so you'd find medicines. You'd feed pets all sorts of food. Burger, meatball, omelets, fruits, fish pops, toenail soup, snail subs. There's also toys to play with pets, many of which are damaged and make you feel really broke. But the broken ones often cost a lot, so figure that one out. Then your pets can get pets too, called Petpets. Catchy, I know. Thankfully, your pets are sentient enough to raise a pet without any micromanaging from you at all. There were so many choices in Petpets. There were some like the lovely Angel Puss, the adorable Feepit, the horrible Meepo, the bogies that don't look like Calvin after chewing gum, the smiley Huggies, the clever girl Niptors. But what was this thing? Cuddlebot? The hell's a Cuddlebot? That thing's so stupid in its name and design. Cuddlebot. To add another layer to this weirdness, your pet can be infected with parasites, and that will be a pet. These things are almost completely pointless. At least you can force your pets to fight in a ring for your own amusement. In Neopets, you could have one of several goals. Almost all of them involve making lots of money. When I was playing, many of my Neo friends seemed to just want to buy paintbrushes to paint their pet exotic colors. Good examples would be like Pirate, which dresses your pet up as a pirate, Fairy, which makes your pet brightly colored and with wings, and Darrigan, named after a kingdom of evil-looking monsters, made your pet just that. It's an achievement to have that, and many paintbrushes cost hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of Neo points. Another thing was something called limited edition pets. Basically, when you're creating a pet, there were a few pets that were off limits, and Neopets decides to rub it in your face saying, "Haha, you can't make these." The one that was most craved after was the Drake, because it's a dragon that looks both cute and badass in a very Pokemon way. Think Flygon. Other pets include the Saibunny, which is a bunny, Tonu, which is a rhino-looking thing, the Croc, which is about as hard to get as a Drake, and it's just a bipedal creature that vaguely resembles a crocodile. And I also remember the Koi, one of the cheaper ones. It was memorable because I actually saw it get redesigned, and every time it did, it was quite a change. Originally, it had this huge nose that made it not cute. And then when it got redesigned the first time, it became what I call if Eddie from Ed, Edd n Eddy was a fish. It's bulky and had no neck, stupid hair. It was Eddie, look at his face. And then for the last redesign, Koi became much cuter and more delicate looking. I have one on my account right now. He manages my shop. Another goal will try to be to buff up your Neopet stats and buy weapons to use in the Battle Dome, where you can fight challengers of variable difficulties. A lot of more determined players do get their painted or limited edition pets, and then when the novelty wears off real fast, they go and start Battle Dome training. The main attraction for many young players is games, specifically flash games. Not only can you play games that were for the most part decently made, but you would also be rewarded if you did well and chose to convert your game score into Neo points. Many games were educational, but in an entertaining way. One was called Typing Terror, where you type words to kill robots. There was one game that was actually frightening called The Castle of Elif Thade. Most of the Haunted Woods themed games were playing the spooky factor for laughs. And then you have this game where you unscramble words, but it's got a very creepy atmosphere. No one took the time to do this and used a website to do most of the work for them. One of the most popular games when I was playing was Termac Roll, where you play a Termac pet, and it's a very fast-paced game where you roll down a hill, eating berries and not dying. The other most popular game was Whack-A-Cass. Basically, the goal was to hit a plushie of Lord Cass, a major character in a plot I'll get to later in the retrospective. It's oddly satisfying to hit a plush of a villain character and have it fly instead of all its stuffing leaking out. There are so many games I would not possibly be able to cover, so I'll go through a few of them. One of the most fun old games was called Deck Swapper, where you play a pirate, and the goal is to cover all the spaces in the least amount of time. So simple, yet enjoyable. Patere Attack was another game that was special. You play as a Patere, a bird Neopet, and it's a shoot-'em-up game where you run from a giant Grarl. I also remember Hubert's Hero Heist, where you play as a Pugo mage who shrinks evil pets and stomps them to death. This was an effort to promote the trading card game. Another game I loved was called Escape from Meridell Castle, where you got to play as a blue drake with a fiery-looking sword, brutally killing bats and purple T-Rexes. You touch anything, you die. You watch your drake fall face first while you get a dramatic death chord. There were acid blobs that looked suspiciously like blood while you kept your fly meter from running out so you don't die. It was a great game with some strangely dark stylistic choices. The most shameless Flash game was none other than Advert Video. It takes the least effort of all the Flash games. It was introduced when Neopets needed to increase revenue. All you do is watch advertisements, and the game gives you Neo points. You can do this 5 times a day. That'll be all for Flash games. What was also fun was browser-based games. Now this was before the popularization of major Flash MMORPGs like RuneScape. I personally preferred this. If you don't have awesome looking 3D, I'll stick to 2D sprites, thank you. What Neopets really taught us was how to gamble. There's the card game, Cheat, made for Neopets. I remember the game because the early stages have the worst players, and the late stages are annoying because the enemies do tend to gang up on you instead of playing against everyone else like they're supposed to. Another non-Flash game I enjoyed was Gormball, which was Hot Potato, or more accurately, Explosive Water Balloon. You just choose a character and try to avoid having said Gormball explode on you, killing you. At least from what I can conclude, all that's left of you is a puddle if it goes off. Then there's my favorite game on Neopets, Neoquest 2. Neoquest 1 was an RPG where you play as a single loop and fight a ton of monsters mano a mano. It was really boring and unrewarding. Now the second game, Neoquest 2, has you building a party. and has a cool turn-based battle system with unlimited mana, so caster characters were pretty overpowered until very late in the game. The original game also had the most basic story you can imagine: evil wizard, kill him. The second game seems like it'll be like that until you find out the game is a computer simulation and you have to go through 5 worlds in order to find the disruption in the system. It's a nice twist on the RPG genre. Wanting to replay it was the whole reason I logged back into my account and was motivated to make this video. Now, the big one. The best way to make money from Neopets was from the stock market. You just invest your money in one of the Neopian companies, up to 1,000 shares a day, as long as their market price is 15 or higher each. The thing is that no company goes bankrupt in Neopets, so your stock will never be a high risk, and it will always at some point go back up. Even though you're technically not allowed to have more than one account, I can guarantee you that many people did. Once they had enough money from playing games, they would go invest in the stock market from multiple accounts, buying thousands of shares every day. There were also different kinds of flash games, which were the wheels and mini games. These games involve you paying money to try to win something. Wheels are spun, obviously, and whatever it lands on, you get that reward. Generally, wheels can be played every few hours. The wheel of mediocrity is boring and there's no reason to spin it. The wheel of excitement is fun! It used to cost 150 Neopoints, and you would often get nice items or up to 10,000 Neopoints. The wheel of misfortune was mainly used to get crap items and get your pet sick in order to fight this one boss in the battle dome, called Muka. And then there's the wheel of monotony. This wheel takes like 1 to 3 hours to finish spinning. The items it gives for its price are actually pretty good, but you could watch Indiana Jones before the thing was done. The Wheel of Knowledge is the last one. It's expensive and has very nice item rewards at the top, but usually gives you useless information on games you could Google and weird arrogant drivel from this area's pretentious king. Some of the other flash games where you pay Neopoints are mostly at the deserted fairgrounds in the haunted woods. Most of them are super rigged and not worth your time and money. There was a game where you shot a cork gun and nothing happened, a game where you throw a ball on the board and you would always lose, and a game where you test your strength and get nothing. There was a buried treasure game on Croc Island where you pay 300 Neopoints to usually get nothing as well. The only one I got invested in was called Coconut Shy, where you throw a tennis ball at a coconut and try to knock it down. I managed to knock down 2 coconuts for 10,000 Neopoints each, and once I made one explode for 500,000 Neopoints. That was a great day. Oh my god, I won! And I froze the game! That'll be all for this part. Did you play Neopets? What pets did you have? What color were they? How did you make money? What were your favorite games? Next part, I'm tackling the world of Neopia and quests. I hope to see you then.